Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of inDepth with me, Darren Manning, and my good friend Brett Munyard. How are you, Brett?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Not bad, mate, not bad. Let's get going.
I'm excited.
Right, so what is it that we're actually doing, Brett? Because a lot of people are saying, what is this, these social media things we've set up and that? So what is it we're actually doing here?
Well, basically, what we're doing is we're doing stuff that's similar to other people in terms of
hmm
the main objective is to keep us busy while football's not on.
The main thing. There's
Um,
nothing else to do is the main answer to that question,
yeah,
really.
yeah. But we want to be a little bit different to everyone else. Like I've been watching a few of the other people's shows, and I've gone on a few of the shows as well, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's a great platform.
hmm
But what we want to do is maybe just go a little bit deeper with some of the conversations and just a little bit more detail. Now, eventually, when football starts kicking off again, the questions will probably be more in depth about your tacticals, your
Yeah,
strategies, and how you approach games and stuff like that. And we can look at the differences between levels, from
yeah.
step seven or even Sunday league all the way up until the professional game. That's the aim. We get different guests on every couple of weeks or every show and try and cover all the corners. Now, while lockdown's on and while we're in a situation where we're in and we're not going to be talking about results and things like that, we want some controversy. We
Yeah.
want to ask the questions
We want some
that,
clickbait. We want some
yeah,
clickbait.
we want to ask the questions that maybe other people don't want to ask, and
hmm
more importantly, the guests maybe don't want to answer. But we're not trying to cause problems here. What we're trying to do is I feel social media at the moment, well, we both feel social media
Yeah,
at the moment is a wonderful platform for everything if used correctly. Now,
100%.
I don't think in the non league world it is used correctly, not by everyone, but I feel that there's a lot of hate. I feel there's a lot of negativity.
hmm
And I feel this is a great opportunity for guests to come on and really get themselves across in the way that they want to, because anyone can send a tweet and anyone can misinterpret a tweet. But I feel that people will come on here and explain decisions that people maybe have been criticised for. To explain, people have been criticised. We're going to have chairmans on. We're
Yeah,
going to have
that's
managers
another
who have
thing.
maybe,
It's to go deep in the sometimes them roles that people take for granted,
yeah,
and what
100%.
people actually do within their job roles. So, like we said, there, chairman, whether it's a scout, whether it's an ex-pro looking to get into management, whether it's a head of youth development, a head of recruitment, we can be looking at all them sort of roles within football that people might not be so familiar with and what the jobs
Yeah, and I
entail.
think the main thing is what people need to understand. One thing, what we're trying to do, and yes, there's going to be some awkward questions, and we are going to really scratch the surface, but we want to help these people. We want to try and give everyone a platform where they
Yeah.
can really express themselves, whether that is to get a job at a higher level, whether that is to get back in the game, whether that is to stop some negativity around that, so to repair some reputations or whatever it is. We're
Yeah.
going to be, we're going to be giving people that platform to come on and say, this is exactly what went on. This is what happened. No
This
tweets,
is
and
why it happened.
this is why it
Stuff like
happened. This
that.
is why I've done this. This is exactly why. And it's a good opportunity for, we want to get other managers on and we want to bounce off them and they can bounce off us. And then people all around non-league can get involved. It's going to be the perfect platform for everyone. We want everyone to get involved. So, but we do want it to be different to everyone else's. Not to say that everyone else's is doing something wrong or whatever. We just want to obviously have our own little spin on it,
Yeah,
and the
we'll
way
have our
that we
little
want to
niche,
do it
won't we?
is,
Our own little
yeah,
gap in the
the way
market.
we want to do it is to go into just a little bit more depth. Now, what we're going to do tonight is between us two is we're going to go into a little bit of depth and give everyone a taster of what's to come. And it is only going to be a taster. Both of us are quite vocal on social media, but again,
Sometimes too vocal.
yeah, and again, but I still feel that there's a lot of people with an unfair opinion
Yeah.
on myself, on you, and there's loads of others like that. So again, it's a little bit of an opportunity for us tonight, just to set the record straight on
Yeah,
a
and there's
couple of
still there's
things.
still a few questions people have about things that have happened with us.
Yeah,
that hopefully
exactly.
we can sort of set the record straight on tonight.
So yeah, we've got an opportunity to do that tonight. Tonight is just going to be a little taster. Things are going to hot up straight away. You know, in terms of when we get a guest on, it's not going to be exactly like tonight. And then we're also going to be throwing in a few other topics as well, especially while football's not going on over the next couple of weeks. We've spoke about doing a thing about the England squad, because that's obviously creating a lot of controversy at the moment in terms of who's going to get selected and who should be in the team, and everyone seems to have their opinion on that. And again, even this week, social media has gone absolutely mental, and people are arguing about who should be in. And so again, this is going to be another platform for people to get their fingers crossed.
General topics, non-league topics, a little bit of everything, but we'll be going a little bit deeper under the surface rather than the standard issue fluffy questions that are generally asked on podcasts. No, there's nothing wrong with them, because there's not. It's brilliant. People want to know those, but we're also gonna try and not try to, but we probably will rattle a few cages with some of the questions we ask. But we just ask for honesty. That's all we're here for, is honesty. It's no reflection on the person who comes on or the club they're at or anything like that. It's just getting real in depth with that person and in a way seeing how their brain ticks and seeing what they do and how they do stuff and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think there'll be times where questions are going to be difficult, and the guests will fire back, and there will be debates, and there will be, it will get heated. But that is what we want. We're putting people in the firing line, yes, but we're going to be in it as well. So
exactly, they can fire the same questions back at us.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Where it's coming from, where we're within the game, they can ask us any questions they want as well. So the floor will be open to the guests to fire stuff back at us and ask us why we've done certain stuff. Exactly. The main question that's going to be asked on this show is why. Why did this happen? Why did you do that? Really go deep. Rather than just accepting their first answer, we will be digging deeper to get the processes behind what they've done. They might not want to reveal them, which is fair enough in certain situations. Yeah. But we'll do all we can to get it out.
And these people will be pre-warned of what's going to come. And if there's certain things, obviously, people don't want to talk about, they don't want to talk about. But we want that. We want to talk about the things that people don't necessarily want to talk about. For example, we will have chairmans come on the show, and we will be asking why so and so was let go, why so and so was employed, where do you think it went wrong, where do you think it's going right, and it will be managers. Should you have left? Should you have stayed, or whatever it is. So
player decisions.
Yeah, and we're going to get players on as well. And players are going to give players. We'll get players on and give them an opportunity to say, who's the managers that they've worked with, who they really like, and who's the managers that they
why did they make a certain move?
Yeah,
what was it motivated by? What motivates them and stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting. Moving on from that, there's something I want to get straight into with you.
Let's go,
because it affected you massively, and it's the null and void of the previous season. Not the season we're currently still in, or whatever you want to call it, but the previous one.
We're still in it.
The one where you was about 100 points clear at the top of the league with about 4 games to go, but didn't get promotion and didn't get labelled that you won the league. What was that like, knowing that all that hard work you've done, and I know we're quite close, so I know how much effort and graft you put in at Enzyme from when you took over to where you are now. What was it like to sort of have all that stripped away just at the flip of a coin, really? Just in one announcement, bang, null and void, job done. All that hard work's gone.
I mean, it really was hard. Like, it's a hard situation because you're going through something that doesn't normally happen in a lifetime in terms of what's going on in the world. So you have to take a step back and say, okay, well, you have to accept it for that. The issue I have is just that I felt that teams were rewarded for not doing well, and teams were punished for doing well.
And in a way, we was one of them. So for those that don't know, Brett manages White Ensign in the Furlough None, and I manage at Hullbridge in the Ishmian Division 1 North. And we was on a horrendous run at the time. And I remember saying I think we lost like 4 or 5 in a row. We weren't playing very well at all. And we was in great danger of getting really sucked into that relegation battle with Basildon and Whittam and people like that. So for me, I weren't bothered to a certain degree. I was I was big advert to keep going because I want to play football and I want to do stuff like that. But in terms of what we got out of it, was a bit of a nothingness really. Because like I said, we weren't on a good run. So if anything, it might have done us a bit of a blessing in disguise, because we could have really got sucked in
Look,
being our first league
there's
there.
no doubt about it. It massively helped some, and it massively killed. It massively killed some. My issue was that it killed the teams that didn't deserve to be
They're
killed,
doing well.
and
No,
it helped
I agree
the
with
teams that. I'm not saying they didn't deserve to get help, but where you are after 30 games of the season, I think is a fair reflection.
that. 100%.
And I think only this season, I think people have maybe realised that last season to null and void it was probably a mistake. Even the ones who, at the time, were all jumping for joy for null and void.
Yep.
Even now, it's like, well, should we have null and voided it because of what's gone on now? Of course, over at the start of this season. Now, people have a perception that, you know, we felt sorry for ourselves, and, you know, we're the victims, blah blah blah. Well, yeah, we do feel sorry for ourselves.
100%.
We do feel sorry for ourselves because we were the ones who. Look, I can't sit here and say we were going to win the league. Lopez Tavares had a very good argument as well. What I can say is we would have been promoted. We were 14 points clear of the promotion, I think, with 9 games left, and I think 7 of them against the bottom 9, I think it was. But I'm not saying that we would have gone and won them games, but you can't guarantee that. But we would have been promoted. There's no doubt about it, and no one could argue with that. And so would have Lopez, and probably so would have Little Oakley as well. Okay, we decided to be vocal about it on social media, especially me. Now there'll be teams that decided to just not say a word and just accept it and crack on. But don't think for 2 seconds them teams are not feeling exactly what I'm feeling or what we're feeling as a club. We felt there was a little bit of injustice, still do, but in hindsight, I look back on it and I'm just a little bit like, oh well, that is it. At the time, it was the end of the world. At the time, it's the end of the world, and you think, how am I going to pick the boys up? How am I going to keep players? It's not just about taking a promotion away. It's what it does to your team. I've got a few players, in my opinion, who should be going to play higher, who could go and play higher, who could go and earn a bit of money. And when you're actually in a position where it's like, well, you don't need to leave because next year we're going to progress as a team, but then all of a sudden we're not.
Yeah.
You've then got to say to that. You've then got to do a summer of persuading people to come and then do it again, and that's difficult because you're trying to do the best for the player because you know the player potentially could go on and move on. But
100%. One
thing I will say is, my first job is for the football club, and it's better for the football club that these players stay. That may sound selfish, but in the circumstances of we wasn't promoted because of null and void, is different than we wasn't promoted because we wasn't good enough. So my argument to the players was, don't let this
ruin it.
Don't let this ruin what we've done. Let's go and do it again. And if we come 5th and we don't get promoted, then go and do what you got to do.
Yeah, because then it's because, like you said, then it's for football reasons.
Yeah, don't move on because we've had a pandemic and it's been taken away from us. Yes, we're all going to lose you're going to lose a year of your career at playing a higher level to come to be staying at this level. Yes, you are. But these are really, really unpredictable circumstances, and really we think it's a once in a lifetime until obviously this year. And that was my argument. I'm very lucky. The boys, a lot of them are my really good friends, have become really good friends. They're a very tight-knit group. And I've got to be honest with you, it wasn't that hard persuading them. It wasn't. I thought it was going to be a lot harder, but it wasn't that hard. But then, again, psychologically for me, who I want to progress through the leagues as quickly as I can, ideally with white ensign, as I've made very, very clear, it's another step back for me in terms of, well, I feel like I've done my bit at step 6 now. I want to try step 5. And I had to motivate. Never in my life have I had to really motivate myself to get going for a pre-season. Like, I'm normally absolutely buzzing to be back with the boys. And I was again, but at the same time, I was also thinking, I've got to go here again. I've got to play these again. I've got to go and do that again. And that was hard.
I'll put, from my point of view, say this all happened the year before when we was in our title race, when unfortunately we did win it. I would have been running to 10 Downing Street knocking on Boris's door.
Yeah.
So
And this is what I say to people.
I can't even think how you felt.
It's really easy for someone to sit behind Twitter and say, you feel sorry for yourself, blah, blah, blah. Think of all these people who are suffering, blah, blah, blah. And you're sitting ninth in the league. You're not going up. You're not going down. It's really easy just then to channel your emotion to whatever else is going on. But if you're just focusing on football, put yourself in our position. And if you do get yourself in the position and it happens to you, then just see how you react. Because I don't see anyone in the same position as us who is saying, null and void, that was the right decision, stop moaning about it. They might not be saying anything. They might not be saying anything.
Malden were the same. You were the three that were leading your divisions that are like close to us. So, and I know all three of you had the same point of view, which is fair enough. We'd played a big part, like 2/3 of the season. You'd done a lot of hard work. In some circumstances, maybe not yours, but a lot of money was spent.
Yeah.
Especially for the likes of Malden at our level. A lot of money was spent.
Yeah, we obviously didn't spend money on players, but we paid an absolute fortune out for a ground.
Exactly.
And then everything what we paid for during that ground technically didn't count.
Exactly. It's just apparently
so all that money that we did spend, we just paid a load of friendlies.
Exactly.
It's a lot more. It's a lot more to it. I was absolutely devastated at the time. The boys were absolutely devastated. It was definitely the biggest challenge that I've had. I've only been managing 4 or 5 years, but it was the biggest challenge to be able to go into pre-season and basically do everything again.
Do you feel now because of it, you boys at Endzone have got a target on your back by the rest of the league?
But I wouldn't have it any other way.
I know you wouldn't personally, but do you think now you're everyone's cup final because of where you were when it all got null and voided? Did you think they step it up to play you?
I personally think this
because
year...
I come to a game of yours just before lockdown, and it looked like the team stepped up a level to play you.
Yeah. I mean, I think this year, even the year that we were doing well, we felt that teams seemed to raise their game. That's just part and parcel of being one of the better sides and being at the top. Now, I don't think we're the only ones in that. I do personally think Athletic Newham, obviously previous Lopez, and Little Oakley are at that standard as well. I think when teams play them, they will raise their games, and that's why you see some strange results at times. We've not had this season, what's currently on, we've not really had a game where we've been coasting or I felt comfortable at all, really. Whereas the year before, I'll just use Wormley for an example. When we was going towards the end of the season, we beat them 6-0 right towards the end of last season. Then we played them 4th, 5th game into this season, and they beat us 3-1 and were miles better than us. And they had quite a similar team, but they were a complete different side. Do you know what I mean? In terms of their mentality and things like that. So it gave everyone. It weren't just a case of what it's going to do to us, but being it null and voided, in terms of or Little Oakley or Lopez, or at the time May and Baker as well, who were sitting 4th, who probably would have been promoted as well. It's not a case of what it does for them negatively, but what it does to the other teams who maybe just underachieved but spent a bit of money. You're basically saying, have another go next season, which is fine. And
here's probably the first controversial statement of mine. It probably saved a few gaffers their jobs.
100%.
Because there was teams at all levels, and this is like not just specific to our levels, but at all levels that got null and voided. Where if you're on a horrendous run, like me, I'm putting myself in this category, because we was on a very bad run. I think I might have even offered to leave after one of the games. I was that frustrated that it could have just gone, well, it's null and voided, we'll keep him there. And that's something that I want to touch on when we get it with some of the guests on, especially the chairman. Would that have changed their mindset and so on? Because I think it honestly did. Because for me, that null and void just was a clean line in the sand. Was, well, you stop now, it's not your fault. And then they couldn't then do it. because it was a case of, well, nothing's changed from before. Do you know what I mean? So
it's 100% like this.
And that goes back to what you were saying at the start, where it sort of rewarded people who weren't doing well and punished the people that were doing well.
For example, for me last summer, I considered walking away after the null and void.
I know you did.
As far as I was concerned,
my job... ranting about 5 times.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I was concerned, my aim when I come into White Ensign was to try and get them to the Essex Senior League, which at the time when I first said that was the aim, we were laughed at. It was like, you've got no chance. Don't have a ground. You're in the Olympian League. You've got absolutely no chance. And for me, that's where White Ensign needs to be. And it obviously was taken away after achieving it. It was taken away. But so I was thinking about walking away, but then there'll be someone who's at the bottom of the table who can't wait for next season.
They got a new lease of life, haven't
they? That's not right, in my opinion.
Yeah. No,
I don't think it's right in anyone's opinion. So, and that ultimately was the biggest issue that I had and we had. But what I would say is, trying to take positives out of everything is that I realised a lot about the boys. Like I said, it didn't take much for them to stay. Their attitude during pre-season was phenomenal. They worked hard, and over the first 10 games of this season,
and if anything, you probably strengthened over the summer as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we managed to
even got better over the summer.
Yeah, we managed to not lose any and gain a couple. Couple of real good players, couple of real good people, and good assets to the club. We got stronger. We could have gone away and said, "Feel sorry for ourselves. We'll go again. We've got the same team, and we'll be in the exact same position." We wasn't arrogant enough to do that. We went away. We got our targets that we got what we wanted for the Essex Senior League that we already identified. We got there was 2 or 3. In the end, we got 3, and then we got 1 just as the season started in Louis, the goalkeeper, and we're in a really good position again this year to go and potentially do it again. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but we had a little hangover. 100%, we had a little hangover, but we got away with it. We were winning games. We were playing bad at the start of this season, but overall, I feel that collectively and mentally wise, we're a lot stronger for what happened. So trying to put a positive on it. I mean, if it happens again, I don't know.
So in pre-season, you put a positive on it, and then the FA decided to let you know that you're not going to be in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
How did that go down? So about a mad few months. So you've just gone from, you had quite a good cup run the year before as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, the FA Cup one was, from a selfish point of view, I wasn't that bothered because I felt the FA Cup really, really affected us on the pitch last year. Okay. We dropped so many points prior games with the FA Cup, and the FA Cup was amazing. It was them nights were
Mate, I'd love to know what it's like to win an FA Cup game, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I've won 1 in about 3 years.
They were unbelievable nights, and I'm so glad the boys got to experience it. And I think that's what obviously then hurt even more, because at least the boys had that to look forward to for the following season. Now, this is where it really doesn't sit well with me, is the fact that we qualified for the FA Cup 2 years ago. We had to come in the top 4 of the furlough none, and we did that. Yeah. So they null and voided last season. So surely the same 4 from the previous season should have been in the FA Cup. And they actually drew it out of a hat. And this is no disrespect to the teams that went into the FA Cup, but you had a team who I think comes 16th in the furlough none, going into the FA Cup, and the team that come top didn't get in.
Yeah, it don't add up, does it? Again, it's like you're punishing the teams for doing well again.
Yeah, I mean,
surely you should have. Surely, and don't get me wrong, this is just my opinion on it. That you've null and voided the league where 4 teams. Was it 4 teams were going to go up?
Yeah, 4. Yeah,
4 teams were going to go up.
I mean, the least you could have done is said them 4 teams.
Them 4 go in the FA Cup.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? as don't get me wrong, it's like I know we've kicked you in the balls a bit by saying with null and void, but you'll be the 4 teams from your league in the FA Cup.
Yeah, 100%, and no one would have
A
argued.
bit of common sense, maybe.
No one could have argued.
No, I can't see anyone would have argued that.
But
So that
nah.
that just
So-
sums up your sort of few months, doesn't it? That you've gone from top of the league and looking to win it and get promotion to not being in the FA Cup to then being in the FA Trophy,
Bars.
but or Vars, sorry, Vars, to then being removed from the FA Vars because of COVID.
Yeah.
When the reason you was removed wasn't like replicated for other teams.
Yeah, I mean,
Talk me through that, and this is where it could get controversial because I know Brett's thoughts on this.
yeah, I mean, the VAR situation was funny, but it wasn't funny at all because we obviously had a few players who had come down, well, more than a few players that had come down with COVID, and we were seeing all the time games getting called off and being put back a week or putting back 2 weeks because of COVID, including the FA Vars. Now, the game that we were meant to be playing against Norwich United was, I can't remember the exact date of the weekend, but there was a few other games that were called off because of COVID. The previous round, the team that we played, Witten, they rung us on the Friday, so this is one day before the game, and said, listen, we've had a couple of players who have had COVID and they were involved in a game on Tuesday night. Would you mind just putting it back a week? We were going to lose a league fixture on the Saturday, which is a pain. You know, it's a pain.
Yeah, fixture part of that, yeah.
So all of a sudden tomorrow we haven't got a game. The league season's not long been going. You don't really want a break. We're going to have to play the team that we're playing on Saturday midweek, and then we've got to go to Ipswich the following week. It's a bit of a pain. And we didn't even consider saying no.
Yeah.
It was no problem. Hope they're okay. We'll be there next week.
Yeah, see you next week. Sort of
Great for us. We turned up the following week and we won the game, and we're through to the next round. The next round, unfortunately, we're in a position like Witten, but even worse because we had 9. Every day it was, oh, so-and-so's got COVID, so-and-so's got COVID.
We was lucky. We didn't have one game affected and only had 2 players that at the time had to get tested. Neither of them were positive. So I didn't really get affected by it until the lockdown.
Yeah, well, yeah, we were flying. We were thinking, oh, everyone else's game was getting called off. We were all right. No one's ill. It's all going well. We're finally getting, we're getting a little bit of luck here, if you like. We're carrying on playing, and others, unfortunately for them, are having a lot of breaks. Especially like our rival teams. I think Little Oakley had like 3 or 4 weeks off because they just kept getting COVID cases, or they kept getting in contact with COVID cases, or the team they played before, or whatever. So anyway, we notified Norwich on the Thursday. It was, we had a game on the Wednesday night, and after the Wednesday night, the next morning, a few of the boys were claiming they didn't feel too good.
The symptoms.
We were like, okay, look, just go get tested, and then we can tackle it. And then as soon as one comes back positive, we know we've got a problem here because we've been together. 1 turned into 2 straight away. Just let Norwich know that Saturday we might struggle. Because at the end of the day, every single player who's in that change room on the Wednesday now has to go and get tested. And that takes time. That takes time. So, and they could get tested, it could come back negative, but that doesn't mean they're negative because the symptoms can take 5-6 days or whatever it is. So we knew we were done we were definitely done for the weekend. So we decided to ring Norwich and say, look, this is our situation, just expecting them to say, okay, no problem, hope you all feel better, next week we'll play you next Saturday. They said no. They said, yeah, you're coming down Saturday, you can send your reserves Saturday.
I would have gone mental.
I was like, oh, right, okay. So when the chairman told me, and not only that, the chairman told me that the guy was actually quite aggressive with him, and our chairman's 87 years old. And I was like, flipping out. So we were like, all right, let's send the reserves. But then we're like, but we trained on Tuesday with the reserves on Tuesday at the same place. So technically,
They can't go either.
They can't go either. Now, our reserves would have gone there. They would have got pumped 10-0. Norwich are top of the furlough number.
Yeah, good side.
Our reserve, all 18, 19, Essex Senior Reserve League, having a lot better season this year than the year before. 90% of them don't drive. 90%, because they're not old enough. Yeah,
exactly.
90% of them are in education. So you've got the cost. They're going to go down to Norwich on a Saturday. I couldn't have been there because obviously I was in contact for the Wednesday or whatever. They were going to go down to Norwich. Good experience playing with us. They were going to get pumped. And we were going to do it. Because we don't want to just give them the game. We don't want to give them the game. So we were like, all right, let's do it. Then, of course, we had the thing where it was like, hang on a minute. How many of them can we take? And then I was like, how many of us weren't in the squad Wednesday? So we're trying to now put a squad together to go down there on a Saturday. Anyway, the FA intervened to say, listen, we're going to give Enzyme a couple of days. We were like, all right, that's fair enough. All right, we'll go down there midweek. And then you start thinking, well, don't really help us because we're in isolation for a week. So what are we going to do? So anyway, we get to Monday and we say to it, no, we get to Tuesday, sorry. The game was not scheduled. We didn't have a schedule midweek. We had to basically have an agreement with them when it would be, and they were very slow in terms of the process of when are we going to get this game on. We weren't that bothered because we didn't want the game midweek. A, it's in Norwich, and B, we still didn't have any players. The FA give us an ultimatum on the Tuesday. You either play Norwich tonight or tomorrow, or you're out. Because they won't play you Saturday. Okay. No worries. I then decide, the club are saying, look, we're going to have to put out a fixture. I then decide, no chance. I'm getting a side together and we're going down to Norwich. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we're going Norwich. I had my test back on the Tuesday. That would have been 5 days. If it comes back negative, I'm in.
You're good to go.
A few of the boys have come back negative. I'll get someone. I'll get a few of the reserves. I'll pick them up myself. We'll go down there. They might thump us, but they ain't just going to get given it. We'll go down there tomorrow night. They come back and say, we can't play you tomorrow night. We can play you tonight.
Huh? Well, the FA let them say that?
Yeah, we can play you tonight.
What was their reason behind not being able to play?
The next night was maybe a reserve game was on the pitch, or I don't know what it was. We couldn't play on a Thursday. The ground don't open on Thursdays and Fridays, and they weren't willing to play us on Saturday because they had a game already scheduled.
So basically, in their head, they thought we're already through here. We're not going to play.
So you can come down tonight and play us. And even then, I was like, I'm in. I'm going that.
I can imagine.
I'm leaving work. This is like midday. I'm leaving work now. You know, it's 2.5 hours from my house. I'm in. I'm gonna get this sorted out. Of course, half hour goes past. And you start thinking, how am I actually going to do this? Like, I've got
the reality sets in, doesn't it?
Yeah, four or five players from the first team who are saying, yeah, I can be there. I can't get there till 7:30 though because I've got to come from here. I've got to do this. I need a lift, and I've got to get a few reserves.
It's not like he was playing 10 minutes round the corner, is it?
No, it's not like we're playing 10 minutes down the road. Obviously, I can't make new signings. I can't play like, for example, ring you up and say, look, I need a load on loan because one, are they going to want to go and travel to Norwich to play for a side they don't play for? No. Yeah, and B,
ring someone else, Brett.
The rules state that I couldn't have done that anyway because I would have loved to have stitched them up and sent down a Ryman team, no doubt about it.
Do you imagine that? Imagine for a second you could have, and they gone, yeah, come play us tonight, and you go there and pump them.
Yeah, no, I'd have loved to have done that, but we decided to do the sensible, the only option, and it was, with an heavy heart, I rang the secretary and the chairman and said, listen, let them have the game. What can we do? We'll let them have the game, and they can.
One thing I want to say on this is I was part of a similar experience with the same club.
Yes, I remember.
Because when I was at
Hullbridge, Harry Skinner played.
Yeah, Skinner played in that game, and it was very similar. For example, I think it might have got called off at our place, so the fixture got swapped, or I can't remember the fully, but it was meant to be played theirs on a Saturday, and they called it off in the morning before we was just about to start going. But I think we had someone's family member lived up that way, and peeked over the fence, and it was perfectly fine. But they called it off the Saturday to get us to travel there on a Tuesday. And on the Tuesday, there was a fair few of us that couldn't go. I was one of them. I couldn't go because of work. I just physically couldn't get there. But I know we went up there and we beat them 1-0 with what was half first team, half reserves. And Skinner was a huge part of it that night. And so they've got previous for it. So as soon as you said, well, when you told me this had happened and it was the club, I was like, oh, them again. Like,
I mean, do you know what the biggest issue was as well? The fact is they were massive favourites for us. Like massive.
Massively.
They're top of the furlong non-prem.
League above.
I don't think they'd lost a game. They were undefeated in exactly a year when we were about to play them. They were beating everyone. I think they won 11-0 the Saturday before against someone. They just drew with like stone marking. They were flying. They promotion. We were massive underdogs. They had no reason not to put it back a week other than the fact that to lose a game in the league or whatnot. So, and then it made me laugh because obviously, I don't know if you knew this, but the following round, they got another bye. I think they're still in it now. Without playing a game.
That's ridiculous.
So, they got another bye through COVID or whatever it was. And it's not just us, it's happened to.
But that for me is an incredible 12 months. You should have a documentary about White Enzyme with that going on.
Yeah,
So you've gone. Let's just recap. You've gone from top of the league, 30 odd games in, looking at promotion and so on to the senior league, to not being in the FA Cup and being removed from the Vars because of COVID and the team not willing to play you when they could have.
Yeah, to be fair, it's probably over the space of 6 months.
Yeah, you probably...
You think about it, March, I think it got voided. Then we find out about the FA Cup. August.
You know what I'm like, how hot-headed I am. I don't think I could have dealt with that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be honest. I really struggled. When something keeps happening, you do start thinking, well, maybe it's just not meant to be.
Yeah, you think, why am I bothering?
Why am I bothering? And like I said, when I'm trying to pick myself up, and then you've got to pick up the players. You got to pick up your staff. You got to pick up everyone.
Well, you told that you said to these boys, and you convinced these boys, let's give it one more go at this level. And then the FA Cup thing happened, so they can't play in the biggest cup competition in the world. And then they get removed from their next biggest cup competition they're involved in. So I feel, and I hate giving you praise. I hate giving you praise, but I think it's credit to you how you've kept them together and kept them motivated to be where you were in the league, or where you are still now in the league. So I think that's credit to you on how you've done that, because I can only imagine how tough that was.
Yeah, I mean, I said, like I touched upon earlier, I feel very, very lucky in terms of the players are unbelievable, the staff is unbelievable, the club is unbelievable in terms of they very much just shook it off. I mean, lifting the players after the Vars. It wasn't hard. It wasn't as hard as the other two. I think the Vars was a little bit like, the boys were just a little bit like, well, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, and other things happened. You know, it's just not meant to be. Blah blah. The previous two were a little bit more difficult. And then obviously we've got the situation now where, you know, potentially we could be in the void again, which we just have to tackle that as it comes. So.
Mate, it's been an interesting time for you, mate.
Moving on to you now.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of questions. One question is actually something that I actually don't really know about. I know about the following question, but I think the viewers will be interested about that. But one question that quite intrigues me is, obviously, before you was at Hullbridge, you was a number 2 at a higher level with Grays.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Was it a case of that you always knew that you wanted to be a number 1, or was there a moment where you felt that you were ready to become a number 1? Was there a specific moment where you thought, you know what, I want to do this, or was it a case of I want to be a number 2 to work towards being a number 1, or was it actually a case of I'm going to go in there as number 2, and then after a period of time, was you like, actually, I quite like. I would like to try being a manager. And if so, when was that? What was that point?
So the way I started in management was as a number one, but it was on a Sunday.
Yeah,
So I took over Herongate Sunday team, which was my current Sunday team,
yeah,
and then from there I had talks with Herongate about taking over the Saturday team. I think I was going to do the reserves for a year and then look at going into the first team and so on. So I was always a number one, and then what happened was I was just there doing that on a Sunday. Agreed to do to do the Saturday side at Herongate, and then an old school friend, Rob Hodgson, called me out the blue and said he just got the Hullbridge job. He knew I was managing the Sunday team because I've been on to him to come and play, and then I also mentioned that now I'm doing the Saturday team. So if you had any players you need to get minutes out to, blah blah blah, and all that nonsense. And he said, would I consider coming to do the reserves at Hullbridge? So I jumped at it. I thought a massive step up from Herongate in a way. And Herongate's a great football club, but it's like a mid-level Olympian club, isn't it? So to go
yeah,
from there to a senior league club was a big step. Was a huge step for me. So I went in there and done the reserves for a year, and I think we finished fourth, got to a cup final. We done quite well, to be honest. But at the time, Rob and Aaron, who were manager and assistant, were both still playing. So end of that season come round, and we had a very good under 18 side with Ian Reid. So what happened there was the chairman Al Nash asked if spoke to us all, and it was decided that I was to move into the first team setup as like a coach, assistant to Rob and Aaron, so there would be someone on the sideline while they were playing, because they
yeah.
are
I
both
see.
still good players at the level and both still playing. So I stepped up to that. So on a match day during the 90 minutes, in a way, I was kind of the manager, but
Yeah,
not the manager, if that makes sense. And I
yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
enjoyed it.
Okay.
And then out of the blue, I got a call from Jamie Stewart, which was a bit surreal at the time because being from Grays and with your family supporting Grays, to have a Grays legend ring you up and say, "Do you want to come in and be my assistant?" I couldn't say no. It was
Yeah,
another big, because at the time Grays were in the Bostik Prem, so it was another two levels up. So you got to think within 2 years, I'd gone from managing a Sunday team where we had good players, but they was always hungover. So on
yeah.
paper, we should have battered everyone. But when people were turning up in taxis straight from nightclubs and
Hmm.
asking people to borrow boots and stuff, we was never going to win a game. So it was just a laugh with mates to be in the club that my family supported in my hometown in the Bostik Prem. Was quite ridiculous that in that 2 year period that had happened. And
Yeah,
I've always enjoyed managing. Like, for example, I'd prefer to play Football Manager to FIFA and stuff like that. So I've always enjoyed
yeah,
the management side of things and thinking about the game deeply and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, love playing, loved it to bits, stopped too early probably, but loved playing. But managing and that side of things always interested me, even from a young age. So then when I was assistant, loved every minute of it under Jamie. Geezer's an absolute fruitcake, a lunatic, but I loved him dearly. Like, he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And to be at the club that I'd been following since I was a kid due to family and stuff, to then be there as assistant to a club legend was a bit ridiculous. So I loved every minute of being number two, and I learned so much, because you got to think that was the first time I'd been in a management team at that level. So picking up the attention to detail that you go through during games and stuff like that, it was just another level to the senior league, like a
mm,
ridiculous step. And don't get me wrong, Hodge and Aaron were quite detailed for the senior league. From what I've seen, they were quite detailed and knew exactly what they wanted to do and so on. But it was just another level because of what the player could carry out and take
yeah,
on board. And there was a moment where I thought, right, I'm done being a number two. I've learnt all I can be a number two, and it was at Hertford away. I still remember it to this day, and the boys in the changing room will know exactly the bit I'm talking about as well, because it was half time. I think we was losing 1-0, and Jamie lost it. Stuff was flying everywhere. I think Hughes Mason was hiding under the bench because he had water bottles coming at him. It was he lost it. Like Jamie was very, very passionate. So when he lost it because he was passionate about football and he was passionate about Grays. So if you weren't happy, you knew about it, and the boys loved him for it because he always wore his heart on his sleeve. But then I remember he stormed out the changing room, and then I tried to say something constructive. I was trying to calm it all down and say, right, boys, if we're going to get back in the game, blah, 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 as you do. As an assistant, you try and be that chalk and cheese character, don't you? You try and just pick up where they don't to support them. But then Jamie's come steaming back in. Interrupted me mid-thing where he's still on a rant and he's going, "Dow, they don't deserve your time, blah, blah, blah," and all this. And it was at that point where I thought, I need my own gig now.
Yeah.
I need, because I love Jamie to bits and I'll never doubt the way he does stuff. I was thinking, I would have done that differently. And as soon as I had that thought of I would do something slightly different, I knew I had to take the chance if I ever got it. Because there's only so long you can't... Don't get me wrong, it weren't that we weren't on the same wavelength. And I would always be on his wavelength in front of the players. I'll never let them know anything different or anything like that. But when I started having my own doubts and thinking, I'd do this different, I'd do that different, that's when it dawned on me that if the opportunity arose, I would jump at it. And I was just very, very lucky that it was at a club I'd already been at. So so there was an exact point, but management had always been on my radar from a young age. I've always enjoyed it, always.
No,
but you didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know that. No, I didn't know that. But let's fast forward then.
Yep, I think I know what's coming.
A few years.
Yeah.
So obviously your time at Hullbridge has been very, very successful. But there has been a down moment.
Mm-hmm.
There has been a moment of uncertainty. So obviously over the summer, you decided to leave Hullbridge, albeit for about 20 minutes.
15 minutes. Just about made a cup of tea by the time I come back.
But that obviously was a decision that I do know about. I do know that it was a decision that wasn't just rushed into. And it was on the cards for a few weeks, and there was a lot going on at the time. But firstly, why did you decide? What made you then say, okay, there's one thing saying that you're going to leave. I've done it a million times. I've said that my time's up. I think my time's up. Blah blah blah. It's another thing actually doing it. So
100%. It was tough.
What was that? What was that time like? And why did you decide to leave?
It was tough, and I alluded to it earlier that we weren't on a great run before the season got null and voided and so on. We weren't on a great run at all, and this happened literally within a couple of weeks of the null and void. So it was all a process. It weren't. I think saying it weren't a happy camp is probably not the right term, but there were some issues bubbling away behind the scenes. So. We've had a very, very tight-knit group ever since I went in, and I feel that Hodge and Aaron were very unlucky before me that they sort of moved away when they did, because when they moved away and I come in, it sort of come in line with a new committee. So when I took over, there was a committee of people that are now classed as close friends. So you've got lots of Glenn Frost, Gareth Waits, Al Nash, Kev Barnard. There's probably some that I forgot that they're going to absolutely go nuts at me. Jason Koss, now he's back. And these people, we would not have been where we are today without them. That's a fact. I wouldn't have been able to do it because I asked for certain things when I went in that I knew weren't currently in place under Rob and Aaron. And I made it clear that if they want success and they want to go forward, these bits here where we've not had them are what's held Rob and Aaron back. It wasn't anything to do with their ability or anything like that. It was certain fundamental things behind the scenes, like having correct training facilities, having the right things to look after the players, because Hullbridge never paid players until our first year in the Ishmael League. So if you're not going to pay a player, how are you going to attract a good player if you don't even give them a tracksuit? If you don't even look after them in them sense of things with training kits, tracksuits and stuff, you're never going to attract it. So I said we need to create an environment where players will want to come and play football, and that saved us from relegation that year, doing that. And then it was that summer when they put all that into place properly, why we went on and had success. We put together an unbelievable backroom staff and so on to do that, and we went on and had great success in something that even when I said in an interview with the paper before the season started that I wanted top 5, even the person I'd done an interview with started laughing. So then for us to go and win it was ridiculous. But then fast forward on to the null and void bit. So before that, some other people got involved that I'm not going to name names and so on, but come on board during the back end of the Essex Senior League winning season. They got really fully involved then. Took over from some older committee members that are still about the club doing other roles. And they got involved, and it became a bit of a dysfunctional family, where it was a family before, where we was all together, and little bits of bickering and arguing started taking place, and disagreements that had never happened before. So it wasn't nice, and it had been bubbling for a while, and then it got to a point where something happened, and somebody quite significant at the club stepped away, and then which called me and James to think, well, we've had a really good relationship with them. Why have they just upped and left? So then we called a meeting and went to see certain people involved, and we were, what we felt at the time was bullshitted beyond belief. Like, you know, when you're talking to someone and you think, I don't believe a word you're saying.
Yeah.
And a big thing with me is trust when it comes to football. So I've got my backroom staff, for example, is James, who I've known since I was about 4 minutes old. Frosty, the goalkeeper coach, I've known since I was 10. We had Ricky Juddin, who's the kit man, who I've known since I was 10. These people have never done them roles before, but I trust them with my life, so I'd have them around me. So when I felt that I lost sort of trust in what the club was doing and how it was looking to do things and how it had been doing things, I'm a very all or nothing person, and I don't think I could have given it my all under them circumstances. And it was on the way home from the meeting, me and James were talking, and we were like, oh, it's a big decision, look what we've done, look where we are, what we've achieved. I don't know if I can do, like, not have a job, because at the time we was loving football that much. The thought of not having a team to manage was a horrible thought. And then James has just gone, but he ain't going to get better, Dal. Those were his words to me. He said, if we've lost trust in what they want to do, it's only going to get worse. And it was at that point I then put the call in and said, no, please accept this as our resignation. And that was done. And then because that happened and it got put in the public light, it kicked off a bit more of a revolt from the committee, because the committee didn't know a lot of stuff. They didn't know we'd met certain people, and it sort of escalated from there, where the people that were causing the rifts got ironed out, and people left the club, stepped away from it, and the issues got sort of ironed out. And then we got the call to say, would we go in and speak to them, because officially our resignation hadn't been accepted by the committee. So in a way, we never left, like officially, if that makes sense. Because the committee never fully accepted our resignation. One person accepted our resignation, and on the committee it needs a vote and all that malarkey. So called us in, they'd explained everything that had happened. They'd given us certain reassurances going forward, and it was all squashed, and it was the people and the significant figure that I mentioned that had stepped away. He was now back also. So it was a happy family again. Put it that way. It wasn't no more bickering. And to this day, since I've been there, there's not been one thing that they've agreed to that they haven't delivered.
Yeah.
They've delivered every single thing. Don't get me wrong, there's some things that I asked for that I'm thinking, there's no way in hell that's going to happen. And then they've gone, they'll stop taking the piss. Do you know what I mean? But everything realistic that I've asked for, they've done every single thing in their power to get done. And I know for a fact that's just going to keep going because of the people behind the scenes. And that is why I left for about 26 minutes and ended up going back. So all the people out there are saying, oh, it's because I got offered more money, blah, blah, blah. No. Nothing to do with money whatsoever. Although it might look like it, it weren't. But no, it was just that it wasn't a place where I felt I could give my all at the time. There was something missing from giving my all, and I'm very all or nothing.
And that's, in a nutshell, what we're trying to do, isn't it? For this show.
Exactly. Don't get me wrong. Me and James did do a little interview that went out about it, but I'm not sure. I can't remember how in depth that was. But yeah, like I said, I'm never going to name names and throw people under the bus and stuff like that. But you probably get it from what I've said, who the people are and so on. So yeah, no, that's why, and it's very valid because on the outside I looked in and thought, cool, I'd have been ripping the life out of you if it was you that did that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I haven't done that, but
you did to a degree. To a degree, I think when I told you, your exact words were, "No, you're lying. You won't do that. You ain't leaving. No chance."
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes drastic steps to get people where they want to be.
No,
it was mad because I've gone from, it was literally about a 10-minute turnaround in mindset from, no, I can't go without not having a job, to, oh, I wonder what I'd get offered if I do leave.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I had some flattering offers when I did, like within that few days that we did leave. I think it was about 8 days, in fact, something like that. Within those days, we did get a couple of flattering offers, to be honest. But I started a project with Hullbridge, and we ain't done yet. Do you know what I mean? We're nowhere near done yet. Bit similar to you with Endzone, isn't it? You've started something that you want to see through.
Yeah, I alluded at the start. I think it would have been seen through.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's why you've done what you've done with keeping the boys together.
Yeah, if we get there, and if we get to where I feel that we should be, then of course I'll assess the situation. But similar to you, everything I ask for, I get. Would I like a budget? Yeah, of course. I would love one, but at the same time, do I need one? And the answer is no. I don't think we need a budget.
On budgets and stuff, I've found it a lot harder to manage with one than I did without one.
Yeah,
it complicates things, it muddies things, it dirties things up. It makes it a business rather than what you're there for, the love of the game. But I understand at the level we're at, we have to have one.
Yeah,
if not, we're going to get left behind. Simple that. You look at the struggles Magic had for years at Romford. If you want to be ambitious and progress, you have to have one. Without one, you're always fighting a losing battle.
No, absolutely.
So what I want to know is that I know a lot of people that have played for you, and I've got some good friends that do play for you. But what type of manager are you? What's your style as a manager? Are you a screamer and a shouter and a calling people out, or calm, calculated?
I mean, this is quite a tough question, to be honest. I think that I'm quite balanced. I'm certainly not calm and calculated. I mean,
I could have answered that one for you, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that I'm never over the top. You know, there's a line that I don't think should ever be crossed in terms of the way that you speak to people. But I would say that, I'd hope everyone who's played and and currently does play, is that I am very, very honest. I think my biggest weakness in it is I'm emotionally attached to the players, which makes things harder to accept when you're not getting what you want,
Yeah.
or what what you should get if you underachieve or whatever it is in games that you feel that you should win or whatnot, and if someone's not doing what they're supposed to do, you almost take it personally because it's also your friend,
Yeah.
and that's a unique situation because
Yep.
not everyone is like that.
No, you're right.
That's the sort of the approach I've took. I've decided that with my players, and obviously being relatively young, and I'm at a similar age. Some of the boys are actually older than me.
Do you find
I
it?
felt that
Do you find it hard to differentiate between the friendship and the manager-player relationship? Because I did, and I'm only
I
at the
find it.
moment. I still struggle with it now. I'm not gonna lie, because you've got to think a lot of these
I
boys I've known
think
for a
it's.
long, long time and had lots of
I think
success
it's.
with, so it's hard.
I think it's borderline impossible to not have any emotional attachment when you're at a similar age, doing similar things,
Lots in common.
uh, with the same in common. Exactly. Definitely could handle it better at certain times. What I would say is I don't ever let anything that's going on privately get in the way of football. If one of them has, I don't know, if I've had a row with them outside the football, it won't
Could
affect.
you imagine that?
And
He
it
had
happens.
a row in the Slug and Lettuce on Friday, and he was gone. We went
Yeah,
practice.
yeah. I would never let it affect the football side of things. But it's sort of the style I decided to take instead of being closed off from the players and having me and then the players.
Yeah.
I've made it more of we're all one. It also
Because
helps on that front
right.
that obviously sometimes I play.
Yeah, one thing I've found on that is that, in a way, I think we're lucky where we're similar age and a similar demographic to the players, because we
Yeah,
sort of relate to them more. It'll be
yeah,
interesting
absolutely.
when we get a guest on who's probably slightly older than us that manages, how they find that dynamic their side. Do they
Yeah.
struggle sometimes to relate to the players because of the age differences and the way?
Look, I see it as a massive strength. I see it
I
that
do as well. I do as well.
I trust my players when they go over that line. They're gonna do everything I ask, and they're gonna give me absolutely everything, like I would trust my friends. And
Yeah,
you've got a combination of them both. They're not going to want to let you down, or they have got that full trust. There's times where it does get in the way. Training. You'll be training, and all of a sudden there's too much banter. There's too
yeah,
much. They're talking about what happened on Friday night. Or
yeah,
sorry, not it
100%.
shouldn't be. It should be Friday night, Saturday night after the game.
Hey, stitch
They're
some of
talking
them up
about
there, yeah. You stitch
yeah,
some of them
you're
up.
talking about going out on the Saturday night, and you turn up training. Everyone's talking about Saturday night. Well, in a normal circumstances, you don't know what's gone on Saturday night. Well, in our circumstances, I was there. so
Exactly. So you're joining in
yeah, so
subconsciously.
you're yeah, and then oh, what happened to you? So them things, but that brings an atmosphere.
Togetherness as
That
well. Yeah.
brings a togetherness, and like I said, I don't think we would have been anywhere near as successful as we've been, or with the longevity that we've got together, if it wasn't for that. I personally believe, and it might sound a little bit vain, but I feel that players have stayed because they
You,
like me.
vain.
Yeah,
Never.
they like me. They don't want to let me down. I certainly know for a fact that players have not left in the past because they like me. As a
Yeah.
person. I hope they like me as a manager, but ultimately they like me as a person. They like each other.
Yeah.
I've got they all go golf together now, and when they're all out together, I see photos on Instagram or whatever. I get so happy. I'm like, because they didn't know each other before. I think
Yeah.
some people think that, well,
They do. I
everyone's
did.
been mates.
I did
Yeah,
before I knew
everyone's
that.
been
I thought you was
mates all their
always a
life.
group of mates.
No, and that's not the case. Out of every single player who plays for that football team, I met through White Ensign.
That's crazy.
So,
I didn't know that.
well, apart from the ones that maybe I played with previously, so you likes of Luke Skinner, I played with at Hannikin's.
Yeah.
Andrew George, we was in a Sunday team together. That's it.
Yeah.
Gatesy, I used to
That's
play
crazy.
against. There's a few of them that I played against, of
Yeah.
course, but ultimately, every single one of them I know through football, and they've come into the team and they've become close knit with me and close knit with each other. We've been on holidays together. I don't have a lot of people have like a friends WhatsApp group, don't they? Like between their friends, blah blah blah. My WhatsApp group's my team.
Yeah.
I've got my football team. If I got married tomorrow, my team would be there.
Yeah.
So, and even a few ex-players where it hasn't worked. Look, there's been times where I've become close with players, and ultimately we've had differences, and we haven't been able to repair it, and they have gone off and played for other people, or gone up, or got down, or whatever. I hope they have good things to say about me. I still keep in contact with them. I still check up on people. I've got people who play for Ensign who have got jobs at where I work because through Ensign and things like that. It is. I say this to everyone. I say it's very unique, very unique. And when people are like, "Oh, why?"
I've seen it firsthand. Obviously, we sent a boy to on loan, didn't we, just before all this lockdown? But the main reason I sent him there is because I knew he'd be in good hands, and I knew it was the right environment that he needed at the time.
I mean, that Lewis, for example, what's obviously the guy you sent over.
Yeah.
He's still in the WhatsApp group.
That's what I mean.
He's still in the WhatsApp group. He still has his bit.
He's removed himself from ours though for some reason.
If there's a birthday, everyone puts happy birthday on happy birthday, Brett. He puts happy birthday, Brett. He's part of it. We've got Pricey in there. Pricey's in the WhatsApp group. He doesn't play for us anymore. He's going to go elsewhere. But we've had chats. He's like, I don't really want to leave because I like everyone. Like I see us all going out for a beer. I like the band.
And that's the environment. That's the environment we had the year we won the league.
Yeah.
And that togetherness gets you 10, 15 points a season.
Yeah.
So I think as managers, we're at that sort of demographic, that age, where we're similar to players, that we can enhance that a lot because we can relate to them. And like I said, it'll be interesting to get a slightly older managers, like more experienced managers' point of view on how he does that, or they might not. They might really cut the line dry. I know a couple of managers that don't even let them call you their name. You have to call them Gaffer. And that's what this is about. It's getting into people's heads.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be a
how
lot of
they
people,
work.
Darren. There'll be a lot of people, like, obviously, there's a lot of people who think we're a massive group of mates. We'll never leave each other. We're just going to go like that. White Ensign or anything, right? Or nothing. That's what it's like. It's not like that. There's elements to that, 100%.
Yeah.
There's also people who will go, well, Brett's obviously a coach and he wants to go through the leagues. He's doing coaching privately. He does his own thing with the coaching. He's obsessed with football, blah, blah, blah. That's also true. True. But what I've always said that would make us, what makes us successful is we have such a really good understanding of it all. Do you know what I mean? The only thing we're missing, and I say success, we haven't won anything, Darren.
Yeah.
And that hurts me. We haven't won a league title. We haven't won a cup. Yes, we got promoted from the Olympian League. Yes, we qualified for the FA Cup. Yes, we've been close, but ultimately we haven't won it. We haven't won anything. Now, with this group of players, people always say to me, "Well, you haven't got a budget, so you're doing really, really well." This group of players is players that should be getting paid at a higher level. It might not be a fortune, but they should go and get some money. They could go sideways and get.
I remember when I first took over at Hullbridge, and that's when we first met, wasn't it? When I first took over at Hullbridge, I was on your case trying to take Connor.
Yeah.
Wasn't I? Because I wanted him in to try and keep us up. Because he deserves to be playing at a higher level. And it's just a credit to you and how you manage and the club and everything that they're still together. So
I think that is the thing. When people say, like, when they talk about White Ensign, I don't want them to necessarily say, "Oh, White Ensign are a really good footballing side. They play this way, they do this way." I say this to the boys. I want people to say about White Ensign is they're different. They're different. They tick boxes. They've got character. You play against them. Every single person knows what they're doing. Every single person's giving 100%. They celebrate mad when they score goals. They cry when they concede. It means a lot. And that's what you want from a manager. You want your personality to come across as the boys. So when you say what is your sort of style as a manager, I like to think that the boys are a really good reflection of that in terms of I want them to work harder than anyone. I want them to be honest. I want, there's an old saying when they say, enjoy, don't get too high and don't get too low.
Yeah.
I rip that up. I say, win a game, go absolutely ballistic. Show everyone how much it means to you. Lose a game, go home, don't talk to your missus, don't text me saying sorry, I don't want to see you until Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll forget about it and we'll go again.
See,
if we win...
I'm the don't get too high, don't get too low.
Yeah,
That was
I
our motto
was.
when we won the league. It was just the next game, just the next
Yeah,
game. But then I also get with that. You don't get the camaraderie sometimes, because then it
yeah.
becomes
I
more
mean,
like a job, because you're thinking, right, we've done that, next job. And I think the higher you go, the more that has to be your mindset in a way.
yeah. But look, do you know what? Right, don't get me wrong. I'll never get too carried away with wins. You know, we beat bottom of the league, whatever, 4-0 away from home, whatever it is. I'm not saying, look, lads, let's smash the changing room up. What I am saying is, make sure you're enjoying it.
Yeah,
I
100%.
won't. It's not a case of right. It's full time. Right, we've got a game Tuesday tonight. Don't want to hear nothing. We've got a
Yeah,
big
that's
game
what I always
Tuesday.
say. My
You've
my
got your
final
Saturday.
words are my final words at any team talk after we've won is, and then for if you lose. So if when we win, it's enjoy tonight, but as of tomorrow, it's on the next game.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
same
And
as if you lose, it's be upset tonight, but as soon as tomorrow morning you wake up tomorrow morning, it's done. We focus on the next one.
yeah. No, and I think everyone is like that. What
Mm.
I would say is uh, I'm very much part of that. Like, for example, some managers will say, I'll use devs for an example, because obviously we get to see that on YouTube,
Yeah,
don't we? So, and they win a game. Of course, he lets them play their music, but he's not involved. He walks out, he
yeah,
goes
I'll
to the
do that.
bar,
I'm not
whatever,
involved.
lets them do that. I'm not that. The music's going on. It's probably going to be my music, and I'll have the
see,
top off.
see,
I'll be fully involved
this is one of
with
the
everyone.
things that I try to get that line between friendship and player manager. This is one of the things I've tried to do is sort of take myself out a little bit, not much, a little bit. So the player the dressing room is for the players. Like, just that's their domain. They can slag me off in there. They can, do you know what I mean? They have say, why aren't I playing today? And have them sort of conversations. It's their domain. But then as soon as I
Yeah,
go in, I say what I've got to say. I leave again, and I go and
yeah.
just sit in my
And
office and watch
it's
Sky.
also slightly different because 9 times out of 10, I'm in the squad.
Yeah, so it's hard for you
So
to do that.
I'm
So
getting
you're
I'm
getting
getting
paid.
changed.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
getting changed with them after the game. I might have played. I might have scored. I might have scored in a 90th minute winner or whatever. I'm going to come in the change room. I'll give my speech. I'll say, look, well done,
You
blah
stand
blah.
there and
I'm
go, I don't know. You
absolutely.
said I won the
I'm
game.
double.
I got man of the match.
Yeah, I'm double buzzing. I've got man of the match. Let's celebrate. Let's go mad, blah blah. Then I might go in the bar and all of a sudden I'm a complete different person.
Of course, yeah.
Like, I'm speaking to the opposition manager like you do. I'm speaking to the committee. I feel like I've got that quite well, where I know where
The
I
line.
can be and I can't be. There's other times where it's you pick and select when to go mad. There's games when you go in there, you've lost 3-0, you played terribly, but you can't go mad at them.
Yeah.
You can't. There's other games where
Of course, it's like
you've got to.
I can count on one hand since I've been at Hullbridge the amount of times I've lost it in a team talk.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably
Very,
count on about 40 hands.
yeah. Like when I give my team talk, I feel screaming and shouting. If you do it too much, becomes ineffective.
Yeah,
I
if
learned
look,
that.
if you
I learned that from being with Jamie, because Jamie was screaming and shout every team talk. Even
yeah.
before the game, he was screaming at them at Grays. So, and I knew from my conversation with players that it was just, okay, Jamie's shouting again. Don't get an
Yeah.
effect. And I always go by the fact that if I need a reaction and I scream and shout, but I've been doing it every team talk before, what's different?
Yeah, yeah,
That's how I do it.
yeah. No,
I try and stay
I
as level-headed as
completely agree.
possible. But
I think
I'm
it's like
saying
what you
that.
said as well.
I'm saying that, but I'm the one that gets sent off every other week because I'm screaming at the ref. So there's ways I let it out and not.
You said it earlier with the assistant situation. See, Mark, my assistant, is very calm. If he loses it, there's a problem. If he
Yeah.
loses it, there's a problem. So
I don't think James has lost it yet.
So Mark, there's been games where Mark's completely blew his lid, and they don't need to say anything, because they're like, well, if he's blown his lid, Brett's going to take this to a whole new level.
Yeah.
There's something seriously wrong here. So
I've got a similar story.
there's been times, like you said, you've been in that situation before where Jamie at Grays, he went mad, he walked out, and then you're trying to calm him down, and then he's come back in. Now, there's been times where I've gone absolutely ballistic. I've gone out. I haven't then come back in and said, Mark, don't talk to him. I haven't. I've decided I'm not going to come back in. I've said what I've got to say. They know I'm absolutely round, and I'm sure Mark's in there saying, "You know what Brett's like," but he'll be saying he's right. He's absolutely right. You've got to sort it out. Blah 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 blah. And there'll be other times where there's been other times where I've gone into the change room. Mark's absolutely livid, and he's gone absolutely mental. I've wanted to go mental, but it's like we can't both go mental. So he's then steamed out, and I'm like, "All right, boys, well," and they're like, "Bloody, you're all right, Brett."
We played Hullbridge last year. I think we were like 4-0 down at half time, and Andre Thomas, my coach at the time, the quietest, most placid guy. He's always positive, great energy, enthusiasm. We've walked in. I was ready to go mental. He's walked in. As soon as he stepped foot in the change room, he started going nuts. Like, I've never seen someone go so nuts as this guy. You got to remember, I worked with Jamie Stewart, but Andre lost it, then he walked out, and I just went, "Yeah, come there, boys." I was like, "What can I say?"
We've had exactly the same situations, like the fitness coach who literally is there just for fitness, John Whiteman, and he's come in and he doesn't say a word. He doesn't say a word. And I've walked in the change room. I'll be a little bit late because, especially if I've been playing, I'll then go over to the dugout. I'll delegate with the assistant and talk about what we're going to speak to, so we're not saying the same thing when we go in. And I've gone in, and John's losing it, and it's like, oh, bloody hell, like it really is that bad. Exactly. If he's going mad, and then you start, well, we can't. You're getting that balance. We can't all be battering them, and there's nothing better. You know this as yourself. You might go in and our players going mad. That's something that we all like to see.
That's one thing I just wanted to touch on, because we've been rambling on a long time now. So straight on that note, what you've said, last season we was losing 3-0 to Brentwood at half time. I don't know if you remember. Some horrendous conditions, and as we're walking off, me and James are going to the ref, come on, the pitch is a bit dodgy. You've got to call it here, surely. We were horrific. We were that bad. We was trying to get the game called off at half time because of the conditions. And then after the ref was like, "No, it's fine, it'll be all right." Me and James are then stood in the corridor at Brentwood going, "What the hell are we going to do now?" Thinking to ourselves, we're 3-0 down. No signs of it. It weren't like it was 3-0 with 3 goals against a run of play. They battered us and were 3-0 up. Like, I don't think we got out of our half. And then I walked in the changing rooms, and I've gone, I can't remember what I said, but then my captain, Andre, just went, "Gaffer, we've got this." Because we could hear him through the door going ballistic.
Yeah.
Like, giving him, and we walked in, and he's just gone, he said, "Gaffer, we've got this." I went, "Sure?" He went, "Got this." I went, "All right, I trust you," and just walked out.
Yeah.
We won 4-3.
Yeah.
There's times where the players doing it get much more effect than us doing it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if a player, he hasn't even got to be the captain, could be a senior player, it could be anyone. But if one of their peers says it, it gets a total different reaction. Like, I remember the year we won the league, we was fortunate enough to do a Marks and Spencer's advert. But it was with about 10 games to go, I think. And we sat there and we was just talking while all the filming was going on. We was having a little 10 games to go, we're in the title race, blah, blah, blah. And then Perry Dunn stepped up and said one of the best speeches I've ever heard in football. Because he's the only one I think he was the only one at the time that had ever been in a promotion race when he won the playoffs with Thurrock.
Yeah.
So he just stepped up and he said some words there that if I said it, players would have just gone, "Oh, it's just Gaffer talking again." If James said it, it'd be, "Oh, it's just the assistant talking again." But because it was from another player who weren't captain, it stepped up, and from that we won 9, lost 1.
Yeah.
Because he just said, basically, we've just got to be at it every week. We take our foot off the gas 1 minute, we'll lose. And we'll lose it. And from a player doing it, so any players watching, if you ever feel like you need to say something to your teammates, say it.
Yeah,
Don't ever hold it back. As long as you say it in the right manner and constructive, and don't start just digging people out and getting personal, it's only going to have a positive effect. I can promise you that now. As a manager, there's nothing I like more than when we come in. And we was lucky enough this summer to have J. Emmanuel Thomas with us for a few weeks and played a few games. We'd walk in at half time, he's giving the team talk.
Yeah.
Because he knows what we are. Because Jay was brilliant. Jay would come to me before the game and say, Gaffer, what do you want from the team today? And I'll coach you. He was sort of coaching on the pitch for us. He was brilliant when he come in. I can't speak highly enough, but again, it's a player saying it. There's a different respect level between player to player and manager to player. And yeah, I'd really echo that. If a player has something to say that they want to get off their chest, then say it as long as it's in the right format. But we have been rambling for a while, mate. And there's still loads of topics that I need to cover with you as well.
Yeah.
So we'll save them for another day.
Yeah, mate.
But no, this has been the first episode. Many more to come. We're going to get deep down and dirty with some people. Ask some of the questions they don't want to answer. And no, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Take care.
Just want to say a huge thanks to our sponsors, Footy Solve Lotto. These guys have got a brand new concept that combines authentic sovereign coins and football memorabilia from a certain year. All you need to do with a chance to win is grab yourself a ticket. All the links to their socials are here. And if you are liking what we're doing in these videos, please like, comment, subscribe and share to all your friends so we can build up and get you much, much more content.